What's up, guys?
GoPro. Hold on, I gotta get the other one recording. What?
GoPro, start recording.
You just told it to turn off.
I didn't do anything. GoPro, turn on.
Power on. GoPro, power on. I don't think it turns on. I think you have to actually turn it on.
GoPro, start recording. Junk.
Shane, we're monkeying around.
Kevin, the one electrician.
And we're back, Wonder Monkey Productions. We're going to talk about, we're still talking about how to plan your trip, how to get it going, how to set it up, how to make everything happen. Now, on that same kind of thing, one piece of advice, I guess, I can give to you about setting up your trip is, wherever you go, if you're going to go down the river and camp, have a plan of where you're going to go. Have a plan of how long you're going to be gone, and leave that plan with somebody, just in case something bad happens. And then that way you can sit down and go over it with your family and say, hey, I'm going to put in here, I'm going to get out here, I'm going to do it over this many days. If you don't hear nothing from me by this day, you need to start looking for me, because on one trip we did this past summer, we had no cell service for a majority of the trip, and the only service we did get at times, we were able to get out a text message, and then it might take a little while to get some back. So leave a trip plan with the family member, so that way you know. That way they know, hey, they can come look for you if something happens. As far as look at where you can camp, another thing that kind of goes along with this,
Plan ahead.
Plan ahead. That was a problem we had on the New River trip. We had lots of points picked out that we thought we could camp on, but each time we got to them, there was a no trespassing sign. Or there was a big rack line all the way down the island, or a huge bank to have to climb up.
Now,
so,
granted, the water was very low, so that meant there was no beaches.
And that didn't help.
Yeah.
But come to find out, there was a lot of area on that river that we could have camped
at different times.
We just didn't do enough research on it to figure out exactly where all the state park campsites were and that kind of thing. So have kind of a plan to a backup plan. Figure out, we're going to try to make this many miles in this many days, and we're going to camp here. But if we get there and that particular place is not available for whatever reason, we know that if we go this much further, there's another spot to camp. And I would suggest that when you find that first good campsite, even if you're still probably got about 2 hours worth of daylight left to paddle,
Stop.
Go set up your camp, relax. Spend some time at camp, setting up your camp, relax, get off the river, take a little break before you keep pushing down the river and you get to the next campsite and find out, this was no good, because that happened to us.
Personal experience.
We ended up knocking on a door at 9 o'clock at night and asked somebody if we could sleep in their yard.
What is that called? Next benditis? Is that what it is?
It beats me. I don't know.
Next campitis, something like that.
But we had it. So plan a trip. Now, for on an average, 15 to 20 miles is a good daily rate. All of that depends on how many people you've got in your group. If it's just you by yourself, you're going to paddle much faster than if you've got a big group with you.
The more people, the slower you're going to
It's going to slow you down.
There's always one guy that's slower than the rest.
If the river's low and you're going to have to do some scooching, that's going to slow you down. So where you were flowing at 3 or 4 miles an hour, now you might be flowing at 1.5, 2 miles an hour, because for the last half mile you've done nothing but scooch. So water levels and the flow of the river is something to check before you go, because that's gonna play a factor in how many actual miles you can knock out in a day's time. Now, another good resource for finding places to camp on the river and all is local outfitters. And we talked about this a little bit before in one of the other videos, but when we did several of our trips, we've touched base with local outfitters, whether we used them on some trips or whether we didn't, but we at least got information from them, because most of them are nice. They'll tell you, hey, this area is good, this area is bad, blah blah blah, whatever. They'll give you information about local area spots to check out or places to camp or that kind of thing. So most of them are really nice. Check with local outfitters before you go. Now, with that being said, on our New River trip, we didn't use an outfitter at all, other than get information from them. We actually took care of our own shuttle. We put a truck at the get out and had a guy shuttle us up to the put in, and then we paddled back down and the truck was waiting on us. Now, I don't always suggest that. Sometimes leaving a truck on the side of the river, you're subject to have something bad happen to it. But this particular place was right across from a campground, a good spot, real visible. We had no worries about it, and everything was fine when we got back. So we did our actual own shuttle.
Maybe a little bit of worries after 4 days.
A little bit, but I mean,
a little bit.
We were on the river for 4 days, so there's lots of stuff that can happen.
Wasn't my trouble.
But have a game plan and leave it with your family, so that way if you're out there and something bad happens, you got a backup plan. Because at this point, we don't carry any kind of GPS beacon with us. Some people do. We're looking at ways of, and those are going to come in future videos, we're looking at ways of getting help to us on the river if we don't have cell service and something bad was to happen. So we're going to be putting out some videos in the future on getting yourself help if you need to and you have no connection to the outside world, because a lot of these places are remote. I mean, most of the time we're looking at doing the Clinch River, and that one, just according to the maps, looks
very remote.
Very remote. So
that'll be one that more than likely there will be no cell phone service on. But it may be spotty, but from the looks of the map, there's no towns, there's nothing, not the sections we're looking at doing anyhow. And that could end up being one of those times where having something as a backup in case of an emergency, is going to be pretty important.
And we've talked about beacons, GPS beacons.
The real kicker to having the beacons, like, there's some of them that there's no subscription.
Some of them.
And then there's some of them that do. So once you have, if you have one with a subscription, I mean, it gets pretty pricey. So if you're only going to use it once or twice a year, that's kind of hard to eat that price. So you're already buying a $200 or $300 beacon, and then you're going to pay anywhere between, I think it's between $10 and $30 or more a month for the subscription. I mean, it gets pretty high. So if you're not using it a whole lot, it'd be nice to find a different way out to do it. I mean, we usually do several trips during the year, so it would be beneficial for us. But if you're only going to make one camping trip or one remote trip all year long, then it's kind of hard to say that I'm willing to spend $600-700 this year on a beacon.
And with that being, all that being said, I guess kind of the key point on this video is have yourself a plan. I know I'm going to put in here. I know I'm going to get out here. These are my camping spots. Use Google Earth. Use information on the web. Use local outfitters. Get all that information together and leave it with somebody. Hey, this is my plan. And this is how I'm going to do it. So if you don't hear from me on this day, come look for me.
If you want a sure shot camping spot, find a river that has campgrounds down through it.
Campgrounds, yes.
Or state parks, something like that, that have actual camping areas. That has been beneficial to us before because we knew that there'd be a spot for us to camp. We'll get there regardless. Takes a little bit of that wonder of where am I going to sleep tonight kind of thing out of it. Plus it gives you that point, this is where I have to be at the end of the day, and that kind of makes it, you have your goal for the day. So you know that if you make it here, you're done. That's it for the day. So that's just the best surefire way is to find somewhere that's actually a campground or a state park that has campgrounds, things like that, and that way you know you're obeying all the laws as well. You're not going to get run off in the middle of the night. So.
And I'll tell you one thing that I like, and me and Kevin kind of differ on opinions on this, is he's about making the miles. And I'm about stopping and exploring. You see something neat on the side of the river, hey, let's go check it out. And that cuts into Kevin's, well, if we spend 30 minutes on the river checking this out, that's another 1.5 miles, 2 miles we could have got down the river maybe, depending on how fast you're flowing. So kind of keep that in mind. Are you the type of person that wants to get out and explore and see new stuff? Or are you that person that just wants to plow down the river and put them miles in and make it to camp
and
at the end of the day?
And that's coming in a future video as well, as the types of paddlers and how we coincide, because there's, like you said, there's things we differ on, and that's a big one, is the rate in which we want to make it down the river. So that there's a lot of things that go along with that. How long you camp and how long you stay at camp, how long how long do you want to relax in the afternoon, stuff like that. So that's another upcoming video as to being able to tolerate who you're on the river with. We'll put it that way.
Well, like Pete with the River Kings, he come with us, and he found out that we're not early risers. We don't rise up early at 5 a.m. and watch the sun come up and eat our breakfast and push off on the river by 7 o'clock. We mill around camp a little bit, take our time, get up and get moving. And you got to consider that when you're planning, okay, do I want to get up at 6 a.m. and be on the river by 7 a.m. and be going down? Or do I want to spend a little time at camp, drink a little coffee, sit back and relax and just, enjoy nature? Watch the ducks swim by or something like that. And that's something to keep in mind as well. So keep all that stuff in mind. Put you a plan together. Figure out where you're going, how you're going to do it, and leave that plan with somebody. That way people know if something was to happen, hey, I need to go look for my loved one. Or,
And unless you've talked to someone, don't go past where you plan on getting out, because then they're not going to have any idea where you're at.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's been some trips where we're like, hey, we could just keep going. We made it here early. We can just keep going.
Let's stop.
It ends up being a bad idea unless if you have cell phone service, you can tell people where you're going. But if the last anyone heard from you, you're stopping at this point. Don't keep going. If something did happen, then it's going to be a mess for everybody. So they're going to be looking in the wrong spots for you.
Stay tuned. Got more videos to come. All of our videos we release them at Wednesday afternoons, Wednesday evenings. All of our gear pick videos we release on Sunday afternoons, Sunday evenings. So go check out our gear pick stuff, because we're talking about kayak camping on a budget and how to get good quality gear that's going to last you and it's going to get the job done without having to refinance the house. So go check them out, like and subscribe, and go get your paddles wet.
See you next time.